Yo, yo, how's it going, brother?
Hey, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How you feeling today?
I'm good. How's everything?
Doing good, man. Doing good, man. So you've been traveling the world, globe trotting, man.
Listen, I've been trying to just become better every day of my life, because if nobody's gonna do it for me, so I gotta go out and do it, go out and get it, you know.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, absolutely. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. So look, man, my name is Tarami Reedus. I'm based in Houston, Texas, and I run a brand called Drumz Uhuru. And the purpose and the premise is to elevate, inspire, cultivate, and connect community amongst musicians, artists, culture workers, in and of traditional African diasporic music and art forms. And I brought you on here because I've been following you for a while. I'm a fan of your work. I really like what you do, and I want to ask you some questions about you, your experience, your background, who you are, and why you do what you do. So to get right into it, could you give a brief introduction into who you are, your background, your experiences, and how you got introduced to the djembe?
All right. So, my name is Joshua Hinds. Um, Growing up, I played djembe. Well, I'll say I played drum. All right. It was like a natural gift for me, and I usually just played in church. My religion is spiritual Baptist, so that's like it's the Yoruba tribe. So you have like a lot of, let's say, Caribbean people in this religion. So it's like Trinidadians, got yeah, everything. So we always play like every Sunday, and a lot of us in the church, we were talented, because everybody had a natural gift and everybody was just able to play in the church. So now it's a thing where um I it's like as I kept getting older, I realized that every year I get better. I get better, I get better, I get better. And I would say I learned about Mama Dikeda when I was like, I think like maybe 13. And I was like, oh my gosh, because at first I thought I was the only drummer in the world. I swear. I thought I was the only person that played drum, and when
Nah,
I
it's real
found
easy
out,
for it to feel that way sometimes. I feel you.
yeah. So I I I I found out about Mommy Decatur, and it just inspired me. I'm like, oh man, like so I just started like following him, Siwa Khan, all of their performances, and I learned a little something from him, and it was when you solo and kind of like take your time and solo in pieces. And when I say pieces, meaning like let's say if you do a phrase like "ragadaгадаг," you wait, "ragadaгадаг," stuff like that. So that's something that I gained from him at that age, but I didn't really understand djembe at that time. I didn't really know anything. It was just natural talent at the time. So that was me growing up. 2014-ish. My teacher, he's supposed to be coming in the call soon. I'm not sure when he will. But I literally just spoke to him not too long ago. I met him in 2014, and I think that was like the best thing for me, because again, I didn't know anything. I wasn't introduced to anything but church, drumming, all of that stuff. And my family background, by the way, is Trinidad and Tobago. So met him. He asked me to play, just play anything. Like he named a rhythm, a Trinidad folklore rhythm to play, and I did not know the name to it at the time because I didn't know anything. So I played it, and he laughed. I wanted to know what was so funny. You know what I'm saying? I just went crazy. He laughed at me. So come to find out, he laughed because of the technique that I was using. It was more like it was all over the place. I was kind of playing like this, and he laughed at it. And after that day, I said, I kind of want to be around this guy all the time because at this time they was playing for dance classes and everything. So as we're playing, I wanted to solo for this class too, because I'm used to soloing all the time, and I never got to solo in class. And it was really like a learning experience for me because at the time I didn't understand why. And I remember like he'll kind of see my face. Like I was very bad at hiding my emotions. So I'll be upset. And he'll come to like with me in the car, he'll tell me, listen, Josh, it's hard to be a leader. It looks easy, but it's hard to become a leader because you have to deal with X, Y, by Z. And at the time, I'm like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. I just want to solo so I could kind of show him the real me, to show him I actually could play, And I'm not gonna lie, I was always humble, but I never had patience before. So I really wanted to get just show him for real and whatnot, and I didn't get that chance. But instead of taking me to like little gigs with him, I still didn't solo. I was always playing like doon doons, or in Trinidad folklore terms, if we playing Trinidad folklore, I'll be playing the bass. So anything that's dealing with the rhythm, that's what I was playing for him while he was soloing and entertaining the crowd and everything. And I was always asking like, so am I ever going to, get my chance to do anything? And I just I felt really bad. I just didn't. I was sad about it a lot. I went home and I was upset about it because I'm like, I feel like I'm nothing now because I'm not getting a chance to solo. I'm not getting a chance to perform the way I want to, and no problem. He used to give me so many lectures, bro. So many lectures. He started fixing my drums. I didn't have any. Wait, am I going overboard with the question with the answer?
You good, man. You good. Like I definitely want you to tell your story. And I know that having that patience and being able to stick with the cadence, stick with the music is definitely I think a key lesson for all of us. It definitely was for me and has been in the last couple of years of my journey for sure.
Mm,
So, you ain't speaking nothing but the truth, brother.
yeah,
I want
bro.
I want to go back. Could you touch a little bit more on, the music that you all were playing in church, the Trinidadian folklore? Can you talk a little bit about your understanding of that, your experience and relationship with that, and what that music is like and what it does for you?
Okay. So Trinidad folklore is basically like West African. It's basically the same. Everything is all connected. In Trinidad, the African slaves came to Trinidad, so we're African as well. I think believe the whole Caribbean is African. So Trinidad folklore has its history. It's a lot of the history deals with slaves mimicking the slave masters and just bringing it back to each. Like, let's say if the slave was mimicking the slave master, when they were not working, they would mimic them and call it a name of their own. And a lot of, like, let's say the dances, like the dancers will wear clothes that look raggedy, but it looks like ballroom style kind of clothes, but it looks raggedy. Like you can tell like it's a slave, like cotton kind of clothes, And Trinidad folklore has a bunch of rhythms. When I say it's a lot of it. It's like, so you know how they have dunumba. So we have a rhythm called Bele. Bele has like it's a whole bunch of Bel Air's, like it's a Bel Air family. It's a celebrational dance. So there's so many histories to Trinidad folklore, and how I got into it. I was basically born playing it, but I didn't know that that's what I was playing until I was introduced to my teacher. When he's the one that ended up telling me, okay, this is a rhythm called calypso, and this is a rhythm called. So when I found out that there was names to it, it made me like, oh really? So it made me want to tap in more and try to learn what I was already playing already. And you asked, why is it important to me?
Yeah,
All right. So it's important to me because I feel like our Trinidad folklore culture is not really out there as much. A lot of people don't, when they hear Trinidad. Can I ask you a question?
go for it.
If when you hear of Trinidad, What comes to your mind?
Oh man, Trinidad, I think about the island, I think about the flag, I think about beautiful people, beaches, good food, steel drums.
Still drums, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't think there's like djembe or anything there, right? Or just drumming. That
Nah,
wouldn't even
not
come to your mind, right?
not off first hand, no.
Right. And that's why it's important to me, because it's like in Trinidad, there's a lot of like gatekeepers where they don't want to really. All right, so if there's someone that's trying to elevate the culture or put the culture out, promote the culture, a lot of the elders or a lot of people would try to stop you because of they thinking that it's wrong, or they don't, they don't want to allow you to elevate in life. You know what I mean? And a lot of times when that happens, people start to, it deters people from even wanting to now promote the culture the way they were trying to. So now, um it's very important to me because of the history, all the history and the rhythms. It's like when you realize what you're playing for, you become very emotional playing. You know, you become, it makes you become a different person. It makes you feel like you were in that moment when they were playing, when it was happening. Like if,
Yeah, totally.
yeah, like if, let's just give an example. All right, a rhythm was played for circumcision, um, and it's or and we're playing it to celebrate something, right? In my mind now, when I'm playing, I become a whole different person. I'm very jubilant. I'm happy. I want to play. I want to show everybody. I want everybody to feel my energy. So that's really why it's important to me. I believe it's more of the history, how important the history is. It means a lot to me because it's like everybody else culture is out there, and the question is, how do I get mine out? And I'm very determined to get it out because of how important the history is.
Man, that's profound, bro. That's profound. I think you touched on a really important and crucial point, people trying to preserve, culture and tradition, right? I think that can be a big factor in why some of the elders were, you know, approaching it the way that they were in terms of keeping things private. And I definitely think that there is value to that, especially if you think about times past where persecution was much more prevalent and sort of in our face, right? And in the islands, in the Caribbean, as well as here, in the United States, it made more sense to keep to ourselves and to keep some things,
Yeah.
I guess, sacred, so to speak. Um, I want to ask you now that in the 20th century, with technology changing, with society changing, what do you see as the future of not only djembe music, but you know, sort of African diasporic music, folklore music as a whole? How do you see that sort of adapting and changing in the future as the needs of the society and community are changing? And what is your role, what is my role, what is our role as sort of the keepers, the bearers, the representatives, of these traditions and cultures? What is our role in meeting these different needs and these changing needs and demands?
So I would say our role is to keep everything together, because what's happening now is everything is all over the place. A lot of competition. Everybody wants to compete against one another, and then we're kind of losing the essence of what it really is. The djembe is a spiritual instrument. A lot of things are not supposed to be done before or after playing that instrument. The amount of respect that you have to give your djembe is not even being shown in today's society, and in order for us to, I would say, elevate, or in order for the tradition to grow, or in order for djembe to grow, it has to start with us, the people that know the right thing. So we got to lead by example and not continue what we're seeing. So if we're seeing bad behaviors, and we're seeing, okay, let's just say we're in a conference and drummers are cutting off other drummers. Now, why should we continue to do that? We got to break the chain, and that's something that I'm trying to live by right now. I don't want to follow the multitude. Yes, I'm growing as a drummer, a djembe player, and I'm around a lot of the good great drummers, and I see the bad habits sometimes, of the cutting off each other. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like that. I want to spread the love. I believe everybody should be together as one. I feel like everybody deserves an opportunity, because when you get an opportunity, now you get to say what you want to say. There's people that come to conferences or come to class, or whatever the event is, and they want to drum. They want to give people the medicine. As we know, drumming is medicine. So they want to give others medicine and cure them. But how can they cure them if now a drummer's hogging up the solos? And so it's really up to us now to really, keep it together. We got to lead by example, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, that's it, man. That's it. That's spot on. I wanna switch gears a little bit to your work with Endless Vibrationz. Can you talk about what inspired you to create that group? What inspires you all musically? What is y'all's goal and ambition?
All right. So, Endless Vibrations, it goes right back to the church again. All the talent, I've seen all the talent in the church. In 2020, when pandemic was going on, we weren't able to go outside. So remember when we were all like at curfew at a point in time,
Yeah, yeah,
we could not go. So basically, I think when they started opening back little stuff a little bit, we started going to the park, playing djembe every day, and then people started coming out asking questions like, "Hey, are you going to the park this week?" And every week when I tell you, bro, the crowd started to grow because it was just us at first. But because it was fresh air for people, because you had to stay inside, people were coming out, coming out, coming out, and people were even having a birthday celebrations there. So it started to become a positive thing, and I felt like, well, if we could do this, I think that we could start a group here, And all I kept thinking about was energy, vibrations, like anything that deals with energy and vibrations. And my teacher, myself, and my cousin, we were just talking about names, and my teacher was just like endless, and I was like endless vibrations, and it just made so much sense because the name fits who I am. It fits who we were at the time, because every time that we walk in a place, it was like the vibration is different, bro. It's so energetic. Like I wanted it to be where every time we come into a place, everybody know it's about to be positive energy, and a good vibration. And what we do is we basically do almost everything. We do like a touch of everything. We have a touch of West African. We have a touch of Trinidad folklore. We have a touch of Haitian folklore. We do rhythm section. Rhythm section is like, okay, if you're in a party, it's basically like the Trinidad, what you see for carnival. So like the extra, it's what enhances the music. So let's say if soca music is playing, you will play rhythm section to kind of enhance the music to make it sound more, if you get what I'm saying. So we do rhythm section. We basically do it all. I learned from my teacher to be versatile. I remember one time I asked him, "Hey Marcus, is it okay like if I just stick to Trinidad folklore?" And he said, "Josh, how do you expect to be a versatile drummer if you only want to just commit yourself to one style of drumming?" And that stuck with me. It stuck with me for a very long time. So now I just want to be versatile. A lot of people also don't respect people that do fusions, and they don't do traditional stuff. And I mean I understand it, but I feel like in this day and age, I feel like people have to be different. I don't know if anyone is realizing the most successful people are the ones that are different, or the ones that take a different approach to whatever the goal is. And that's who people look at. They don't look at the people that are doing the same exact thing. So that's what we do, bro. We do fusions. We do a touch of Trinidad folklore. We're not just like a main Trinidad folklore group. You know what I mean? Because we
Yeah,
can do West African. We can do different styles of drumming. And the thing is also like we're so willing to learn more so that we can have more under our belt. We want to learn Sabar. I want to learn Katero. I want to learn Ghanaian drumming. I want to learn so much so that we can, anytime that we go anywhere, we can be able to play amongst,
yeah.
different people. You know what I mean?
I think that's dope, bro. I know exactly what you mean, and I think
Yeah.
it goes back to what Nina Simone and countless others have said and done in their work, especially throughout the 50s and 60s. It's important that our work as artists, as musicians, right, um, reflect the times and really speak to the people. You know what I'm saying? And you and I are not necessarily, Guinean or Malinke or, you know what I'm saying, Ghanaian
Yeah.
or what have you, Haitian, right? So I think it's important to understand these traditions, to pay homage and respect to where
Yeah.
they come from, but to go to really to the root of what it is that they're conveying, right? Haiti is about revolution. It's about the spirit of freedom, self-determination, rising up out of the situations that our ancestors found themselves in, and that's a common theme throughout all of this music, especially here in the diaspora. So going back to the point of like addressing the needs of the community, while the needs might be changing, right, with technology, AI, all of these different things happening in the world, socially, politically, economically. How how can we still connect back to the root of who we are, as a people collectively, and what this art form truly is about, but also like I guess sort of reinterpreting it. I think the reinterpretation is a key factor um, in all of this work, that we're doing. So it's really dope, man, to see what y'all are doing, man. I'm a huge fan.
No, thank you, bro. I truly, when I tell you, bro, I never knew how important drumming was. I never did because it was just natural. I just did it, but I would say pandemic time really kind of it did it for me. It gets so serious that when I talk about djembe, when I talk about drumming, when I talk about what I want to do in my life, I want to cry about it because I love it so much. I respect my djembe so much. I love it. I love my djembe. I try to even get people to love it the same way I love it. But what I came to realization is that people are not gonna love things the way you love it. You can't force anyone to do things the way you do it. You could encourage them, you could inspire them maybe, but people are not gonna feel the same way you feel. And that's why this work is so important to me, bro. I take it so seriously. I also play football. So I didn't make it to the NFL, but I took my football determination mindset and I brought it into djembe. As far as like the discipline, the hard work, being determined. I just took that mindset to bring it into drumming because like, all right, I want to practice when nobody's practicing. I want to be able to put the work in so that I could gain more language. I want to be around more people that are very knowledgeable so that I could pay attention and understand what I'm doing. Right now I'm focusing on language, from each tribe, like Malinke, the Susu, um, um, like the Ivory Coast. Like
Yeah,
I didn't even know Gambia was a part of Africa. I didn't know any of those things. I didn't even know Angola was a part of Africa. I didn't know, and this is all the things that I'm finding out now, and something that I will always tell everybody: don't forget to always be a student. It don't matter how much you know. Being a student, like for me, I love being a student. When my teacher come to rehearsals, man, I want to just sit back and just learn. Because it doesn't matter how much the amount of information that you could gain, man, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. It is a lot, man. And I think you hit on a very crucial point. A lot of people who aren't musicians or percussionists, drummers, you kind of get this notion that we're just slapping skins, right? We're just yada 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 yada. We got, you know what I'm saying, just doing whatever. But there's definitely a language to what it is that's being played, that's being spoken. Um, and there's a difference between just playing, right, and speaking, and that takes study. It takes being immersed in a culture.
Yes.
It takes in my opinion, from what I've seen, and it takes having something to say in the first place, right? And that's a life thing. So yeah, man, can you talk a bit about your experience with that journey of learning to speak and the
Oh yeah.
differences between like just playing, speaking, and then also, I guess, for lack of a better word, educating people, or opening the awareness and the perception of what it is that you're doing to other people who may not know.
Okay. So when it comes to learning language, what I'm starting to learn and realize is that every rhythm has a language. Um, in the how can I put it? So every rhythm has a language, and it it's like this is why it's important to learn the history, because when you learn the history of what let's say a rhythm is, or you learn the history of the country. So let's say Ivory Coast, for instance, and you hear how they talk, you hear how they sing, you see how they dance. The dances tell it all. The steps tell it all. Like you just can see the steps, and like even if you, let's say if you did not know the language, the steps kind of like show you what to play,
Yeah,
and that's something that I've been noticing. Um, People that are like me trying to learn language, I would say, and when I say people like me, meaning like people that was born with a natural talent and had no one to kind of like show them how to play the drum. They were just born with that gift, and now in like later on in life is trying to like okay learn the structured part of playing. I would say like if I listen to a lot of instrumentals, like a lot of I go to rhythms that I know is hard for me. So let's say Soli was a very hard rhythm for me in the beginning. It was tough for me because I heard it different. So let's say the rhythm is giding giding ging 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 giding giding ging. I was tapping my hands like this. Giding giding ging 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 giding giding ging ging ging. And then I was solo on that timing. But then it didn't match the dance. And then I'm hearing other drummers, they're like giding giding ging 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 giding giding ging 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 giding giding. And I was like, how is that possible? But then when you start to pay attention and actually do the instrumentals, you watch the dances, you watch the steps, you understand why they're playing at that certain speed. You learn how to play in and out the rhythms. And I feel like the more that you sit home and you put the work in on rhythms that is tough for you, you start hearing other things. Like it's getting to points where I'm starting to hear 4/4 rhythms. So if anyone doesn't know what a 4/4 rhythm is, it's like 4/4 rhythms is like cuckoo, and then you got like 6/8 rhythms that's like soko. Um, if I'm hearing 6/8 timings in a 4/4 rhythms and vice versa, it's starting to get to that point, and I guess like I just learned about last week that malinke is like chopping up, like it's like the choppy kind of soloing phrasing, and and susu is more like just like free for all, like you're freestyling. But like they said, Malinke is more chopping up, more structured, and susu is more like a freestyle kind of do. It's like street drumming in a way. So these are things that I'm learning from like my elders, people that feel like you have the potential. They will give you the knowledge. And what I also do is I listen to people that lead a lot. I sit next to them and I listen, and I listen to how they phrase for the steps. I listen to when they're not phrasing for the steps, and I hear. I just keep on listen. Like, let's say if we're doing a rhythm that I know I cannot do, I'm recording it on the side, and I'm making sure that I go home and I'm listening to it all the time, all the time, all the time, so that at least I know I'm hearing the same thing in my head. Because sometimes when you hear a rhythm, you always hear a certain phrase that you want to play. So like in Kuku, for me, the phrase I always hear is tukura ka tukura ka tukura ka tukura ka. I always hear that phrase because that's something when I listen to Kuku, I'm always hearing it. So that's really a lot of ways you can upgrade your language when it comes to.
Yeah, man, that's so interesting. Like I was in a conversation with Musa Traore, who's a
Yes.
Malinke master of Djembe, right? And he touched on that point of how Malinke phrasing, Malinke language is unique, it's nuanced, it's not, it has its own sort of flair and flavor as compared, like you said, to Susu from Guinea, right? Um, but it's still, part of the same family, still branches and remnants from that Malinke empire. And, it's like, okay, if they're all speaking and we're all using this medium of dancing, of drumming, singing, we're all kind of speaking this language and connecting back to something, it's like we're connecting back to some sort of like primal original source or something like that. And it's like even if the languages are different, you know, or a lot of time has passed, a lot of things have happened between the language, one can still feel it, you know. It's kind of like people would say about Louis Armstrong, they it was like a point where they could understand what he was saying through the
Yeah.
horn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro. So that's like it's interesting because I think the language part is like who are we? It's like what do we have to say?
So
You know
what do
what
you
I'm
have to
saying?
say? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
bro.
I
That's
totally, I totally, and I tell you, I totally agree with it. It's like I learned also take your time and say what you have to say. Because when you take your time and not just, they tell you to attack the rhythm, right? You attack it, but then you take your time because now, like for me, I usually, it is a funny joke. Like when I'm around my peers, I'm playing. I'm really playing. But then when I get around people that are like, that are really good, I kind of tend to freeze up, or I wouldn't play the certain phrases that I would play around my peers. And that here, I keep now in my mind, I keep telling myself, take your time, take your time, attack the rhythm, but take your time so that you can hear the rhythm and then say what you have to say. Everybody's gonna hear you if you take your time. And that's something that I'm learning as I'm going because I really do it a lot where my heart is beating so fast when I'm around people that I know could really play. I don't know what that is. Does that happen for
I
you?
think it's excitement. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I have experienced that same thing too. I think it's excitement. Like I used to swim competitively
Yeah.
and I would get nervous too, like behind the block before my race. And I was reading like a magazine or something and one of the Olympic swimmers, I don't remember their name, they would say like when I'm behind the block ready, getting ready for the race and I feel that adrenaline, instead of thinking of it as nervousness, he said they just think of it as excitement. And
Yeah.
that for me is a game changer. So whenever, I'm not saying I don't get nervous. That's not true. But I try to
Yeah.
keep that in mind, right? Like if I'm in that spot, right, or something big is happening or something is important to me and I'm in that space, it's like I'm here for a reason, first of all, and I'm just excited. So like let's use that excitement to do, the thing, right?
Yeah. 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 It's so crazy. I remember even my boy Jay. He's like one of my close friends that I play drum with now. He and I remember I used to say, yo, I cannot solo to this. I felt uncomfortable soloing, and I don't know if it's because these people are here. But when we're not around them, I'm soloing away. I'm comfortable. I'm flowing with, Um, but another thing I also learned from Baba Mahiri and from Farafina, I went to about I think two or three classes that they did, and it was very helpful for me. It was very helpful because what happens is he touches on very important parts. He teaches you, let's say he asks you, okay, what rhythm do you want to do? And I'll say solely because I don't really understand it. Okay, he's gonna teach you the soli techniques, the solo techniques for soli, the phrasings. Then I remember one thing he told me was you have to be able to drum in a circle. And that made so much sense to me because now if you're doing this, you don't have to double up your hand. But if you drum in a circle, it becomes more of a flow for you because you're able to use both of your hands instead of like stuttering. You can solo with a flow. And then when he teaches you the phrases now, they have dance class right after it. And the dance class right after the class, they do the same rhythm. So it is so helpful because it's like, all right, we just learned a phrase, and then every phrase that we learned goes with the steps. Like we did Manjani, and he explained that a lot of people mistaken solely for Manjani, and it's not. And then like he showed us like a phrase, there's a certain phrase that they do, and you could literally spam the phrase because all of the steps look like the phrase. So you can mix it in and do the phrase, but it's so helpful. And they need more people like him in the world that can explain things to people like this, or even do it where we learned the Dun Dun, we learned the Sangba, and we learned the Kinkini part from Minjani. And then after that, we rotated to Djembe. And then we learned the phrases, the solo techniques for the Djembe part. And then came the dance class. And now everything that we learned, we can't forget it now because we're watching the dance. We just learned it. So those is very helpful.
Yeah, engaging in that conversation,
It
like
is.
applying the dialogue in real time, bro.
Yeah.
That's deep, man. That's deep. That's deep. And there's so many levels to it, right? There's just so many different levels, man. Like the studying, the time commitment, like it's deep, bro. It's deep.
Is it how much time do we have? Because like I feel like
We
I wanna add someone in here.
we got about 2 minutes.
So, all right, forget it. Forget it. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we can run it back for
We
part
could.
two. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure.
Yeah, because I would like to meet your teacher. He sounds like a really dope guy, really well studied individual.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but yeah, Josh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your perspective, for all that you do for the culture. Um, it does not go unnoticed. It is very valuable. You know, keep going, bro. We here to support each other, man.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
how can people get in touch with you, learn more about what you're doing, your work, support your work, et cetera, et cetera?
All right. So I have Instagram. My Instagram is humble with two E's underscore Josh with two H's and four. And then you can also reach me on Facebook, Josh Hinds. And also you can reach my company at Endless Vibrationz with a Z at the end on Instagram as well.
Man, thank you so much. Enjoy your evening, man. This is great.
Yes, sir. And thank you, bro, for doing what you're doing because I don't know if you know how important what you're doing is. Like what you're doing is very important, and a lot of people need stuff like this in their life, bro. So continue doing what you're doing, and thank you again.
Thank you, bro. Have a
Yes,
good one,
sir.
man. Peace.
All right.